and welcome. I'm Atika Faruqi. Look at this beautiful frame that I have right now. Such lovely colors, such beautiful and brave women, very creative, very bold, ambitious, and now they're here to tell you some awesome stories that probably were waiting to be told to you. And let's introduce all of them to you. So here the list goes. We have Ashi Dua, we have Ashwini Yagi, Gulif Monga, Madhu Bhojwani, Monica Shergill, Seher Latif, and Shivani Saran. And these are the women who are producing the formidable content that you are and have been consuming, especially in the lockdown. And that gave us hope, that gave us some bright light in the times where probably we had needed it the most. And I must say that so many people are consuming Netflix. Gully. Gully, hi, big admirer of your work. I want to first start with asking you the question where a couple of articles that have been reading about you, you said in the last 5 years, less than 5% of the directors are female, and that is not a very hopeful situation. Uh, what do you have to say about that?
Hi, thank you. Really happy to be here on this panel and actually celebrating each other's work. I think I came across the stats a year ago and started a whole conversation that less than 5% women are directors in India. And there's something that we have to do about this. Um, and that's what has informed me individually as a producer to make choices and double down on each other, and also created as you know, we some of us came together and started a collective called Indian Women Rising with the sole focus that we just amplify, discover, amplify, and distribute films that are directed by women. I think it's important to acknowledge and have that conversation. And I think a lot of us, once we are once we have such kind of stats in our hand, it's a conversation starter. I think it's significantly also changing. It is significantly, there is a step forward, especially I do want to say that at Netflix, from programming to people behind the camera, there's a sharp focus on uplifting women. And this is parallelly now happening in the industry, and it's empowering many women and celebrating the female gaze. I think understanding and celebrating the female gaze is really important. And I think uh, with more, the statistics help us make better choices. And it's important to uplift and talk and, and have these conversations. So yeah, here we are, and we're just getting started.
Absolutely. And let me go over to Monica Shergill right now. Monica, you are a magic woman. You're a magician. Look what you've done to Netflix. I must say, we worked together in another organization, and I clearly remember that there also she was this powerhouse of talent and ambition, and she wanted to do so many things. And there is a history, I can tell you in detail about the kind of work she does and the way she works. Monica, what is it about Netflix that really attracted you towards it? And what are the special and the extraordinary things that you think that you have done in the last couple of years with Netflix?
Thank you, Atika, and really kind of you to say everything that you just said. I think I just feel incredibly honored and privileged to be sitting amongst these power women who have
Oh,
been
yes.
blazing a trail
Lovely.
and who have displayed the will and the vision, to tell the kind of stories that they tell. And as someone who's had the privilege to work at Netflix for the last year and a half with so many amazing women executives who, I'm surrounded by, I'm inspired by. I can tell you as a company, we are so deeply committed to diversity, to bringing women storytellers in every which way, in front of the camera, behind the camera. And I can share with you that
Yeah.
in the last year and this year, we are working with, I think, more than 1,000 women creators in different roles.
Wow.
Yes, and last year we worked with 18 women directors, and we had 12 women writers. We had so many lovely ladies here who debuted with us as producers last year. So I just feel that you know, at Netflix, we have this very deep belief and commitment that if you bring the experiences of women storytellers and their perspectives to life, whether they're wielding a pen or they're behind a camera or they're captaining a filming crew, it just gives us the lens to society that we haven't seen before. So I feel really proud and humbled by this opportunity to be able to bring all of them together and so many more that I'm getting a chance to work with.
Absolutely. And let me go over to Ashwini Yaji. Ashwini, you have a huge experience in television. Lovely stories you put out there by the means of smaller screens. You told the story of women because television is supposed to be the medium where you're able to tell stories of women, for women, and by women. And now we have this huge, beautiful elephant called OTT. You know, people didn't even know what OTT was 5 years ago, and now everybody kind of seems to, even the biggest stars are coming to OTT first and then probably the bigger screen or the bada parda as we say. Your experience in OTT.
So having had the experience of, let's say, the daily soaps and television and then making films and now OTT, I feel that in television we've always had, like you said, we made shows for the women. There were stories, all kinds that you have seen for of women, and the decision makers were women in television. I mean, Monica is there. We know the decision makers were always women, and I've seen that over 25 years in television. In film fraternity, I feel that that ratio is very low. Women in films is, I would say, very negligible. But in OTT, what I've really liked is the decision makers are women. There are many stories that are, made are women-based, strong women-based. But what I really like is that they go all out to promote the strength of a woman, which, in television we probably took it for granted. But platforms like Netflix have gone way ahead, like today's day, and many other times, even while coordinating with them or discussing anything, I feel they put women right up there, which is what is required. And like I said, for me, making Masaba was a sort of a because I'll say this again, I've said it earlier, is this is strongly what I feel is a something that we should really emphasize on is like Nina ji. I remember 15 years back, she told Masaba that you cannot be an actor because Masaba, I believe, wanted to be an actor. And she said, you won't be an actor because, with your kind of different looks, unique looks, you will never make it as a protagonist. You will always get side roles and you will never make it as the lead actor. And today, thanks to Netflix and OTT platforms like Netflix, she has a show where she's the lead protagonist and it's also named, it has a name. So, I mean, this is something that we wouldn't have thought of 15 years ago.
And you must say that, Ashwini, like you said the other day, that, and her name is twice over.
Yeah, it's not just once, it's twice. Masaba. So having been here in this industry for almost 30 years, I feel like I've seen it all in terms of where Masaba has come as the lead protagonist. Because, in India, we have a certain bias towards how the women on screen should look. And I think Masaba has broken that barrier, and I feel really happy to see that, yeah.
Absolutely, you're right.
In television, we have a different audience. So the women that we cater to are housewives. So when we show women's stories, we normally show the girl being an underdog and then her progression. What I find in Netflix and OTT platforms is you can show women as they are with their flaws. In television, it's black or white. On OTT, I feel you can go gray all the way because that's how we really are. And we can accept the flaws and show them.
Absolutely.
We don't have to live up to some, sorry, I was just saying, and we don't have to show women living up to an impossible ideal.
That's a beautiful sentence. You don't have to show them living up to an impossible idea. Seher, you've worked with Anurag Kashyap for so long, and you've been in the department of kind of getting together the talent for a project as well. What has your experience been in the past so many years where you have interacted with fresh talent who wanted to do something to make it big, to make a mark? Were probably not given that kind of a platform or opportunities earlier 10 years ago, and now here you are bringing them to the fore, saying whatever you have to say unabashedly.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Things have changed dramatically. And I have to repeat what has been said about OTT. I think that has really, really helped, talent behind the camera and in front of the camera. What happens when the entire ecosystem of storytelling sort of changes? It gives opportunity for different types of actors that you wouldn't traditionally expect in certain roles. And yeah, so it's absolutely made a huge difference.
Well, Vani, you have this production company called MA Entertainment, and you're also doing this movie with Akshay Kumar, which is Bell Bottom. Now, again, we're going to films here. Now, has for a very, very long time been a men's medium where the men would flock in big numbers and, Titi Marna and doing all. It was like that day for them where all the camaraderie between the men would come out. And now you have these movements. We saw Me Too movement, and then we are seeing this soap is coming with the movement where you have to kind of change the way you measure beauty. The tagline is, I saw the tagline on a hoarding. It says, "Aapko kitni खूबसूरती enough hai, काफी hai." So we are in the middle of a transition. The society is changing. How do you see catering to both the mediums in a fair manner?
Um, Thank you, to Monica, Netflix for organizing this whole event, and it's amazing to be with just women, and not that we don't like men, but it's amazing to be on a panel where it's all women. Atika, your question is very very pertinent because I think just like you, we've all grown up on a diet of Hindi films, at least as far as I can remember, where Amitabh Bachchan was the angry young man, and then of course the baton kept passing on. But the male gaze, whether it is from a director's lens, a producer's lens, or even the actor, it was always driven by the fact that theatrical revenues are always driven by a certain type of cinema. How is the money spent? Who controls that? And even now we see data which is skewed towards the fact that it needs to entertain men, and very few stories have been told for theatrical where you have a woman protagonist. And it's been a decade for me in this business now, and it was very rare that you came across an opportunity where somebody said that, okay, we are going to let the women take the lead, because you're always driven by the economics of it, because sadly for theatrical it's always about that, right?
Shivani Saran, she represents Newton Films. She was also the producer of Gold film, again a big budget and a big film. Shivani, give us your personal experiences with Netflix and your experience of changing yourself, I mean, as a person, as a consumer of entertainment and films, from a movie, a cinema hall going buff to a person who suddenly took to the smaller screen, the smallest screen on our palms and on our laps. And you kind of got exposed to this content from around the world, from American cinema, European cinema, the Korean films that are suddenly kind of everybody's talking about because of our affiliation, the emotional affiliation that we have for the same kind of genre, the drama genre. So, and you as a filmmaker, what kind of opportunities do you see?
It's interesting that you mentioned global cinema because I shifted to film from my previous career in South America. I was studying MBA and I managed to get into film there. So India is actually my second country of having done film, but this is where Seher and I now run Mutant Films. It's, to be very honest, for me, at least personally, the screen size hasn't mattered because what I've always sought out, and I'm hoping, especially with these kind of filmmakers now here and bringing out a lot in collaboration with platforms such as Netflix, is just representation. For me, growing up, there was very little to be seen in terms of female characters with different stories. It was always the similar kind of story. And that's what's been fantastic when it comes to something like Netflix. We're on our third project with them. It's an anthology on young love. I don't think we would have seen that 5 years ago. Whether it had to be a film or even something you take out on YouTube, we wouldn't have had that opportunity. And just before we entered this panel, Monica and I were talking about another project. And the great thing is with Netflix, it's not, there's no focus or insistence of a particular kind of gender. We just talked about that project. We didn't even talk about the fact that the lead characters are women. But, and that's been great for Seher and I because organically we've gravitated towards women-led stories or stories being led by women. You know, Gold is written and directed by Rima Kakti. Maska
Yeah.
had Manisha Koirala in the lead, and two other great female actors. Bhagwini Bhag had Swara in the lead. We had Dolly Singh for the first time. We've got so many women behind the camera, which for me, as a behind the camera filmmaker, I think it's been the best thing for us. Representation. When I first started off, it was me and one accountant. I'm talking about 7 years ago, who were women. Now I think all three of our line producers on fields like Ishq, women, four head of departments, women. No questions asked, and actually even everybody we've interacted with, all our point of contacts have been women. Every department. And the shift has not been tough.
Ashi, tell us your experience. I think you right now, you seem to me as the youngest of this lot. And as the entire universe is talking about this average age of India being in their 30s, your perspective towards content.
Honestly, I never faced a problem with the whole gender thing. I faced a problem with age.
Absolutely.
And when I made my first film, Bombay Talkies, I was 24. And it wasn't about women. Like, nobody would say, oh, you're a woman producer or what. It would be like, how old are you? And you're making a film on 100 years of Indian cinema. So that was something that I had to face at that point. But I'd just like to add here that I made Bombay Talkies with the four directors, and then 2 years later we made Lust Stories, which fortunately we had the fortune of having it on Netflix, and it was one of the initial titles that Netflix had. And the difference that we saw between both the films was huge because Netflix gave the film wings. And the amount of people that saw Lust Stories all over the world was phenomenal. And we never expected that to happen because we had made Bombay Talkies before that, which had been critically well received. But with Lust Stories and it being on Netflix, it was so empowering to have done that because when Bombay Talkies happened, it was one of the few anthologies that had released at that point. And people were still lukewarm about the whole short film anthology space. And then with Lust Stories, I think, broke some barriers. And the amount of people that saw it, the way Netflix promoted it, it just changed the whole game for us in that space. So Netflix has literally given wings to stories that probably wouldn't have happened a few years ago.
And your international Emmy nomination for it.
Yes, yeah,
And the
and that
language
happened.
versions that
Yes,
you've done in
yes.
Pava and
Yay!
So
Please
we
talk about that. Briefly.
So
Talk about the nomination.
it was great. I mean, it was surreal. It was just amazing to be there. We had never imagined it. We hadn't even imagined a Filmfare Award. So just to be nominated at the Emmys was huge. And I mean, I'm not just saying that because we're talking here about Netflix and we all have shows on Netflix, but actually the way they make you feel with everything, for something as simple as today, just making us all feel and look and just say things, they really liberate us in many ways. And I ended up doing a Tamil anthology and a Telugu anthology recently with Netflix. And that is, I mean, when I did Bombay Talkies, at that point, we had wanted to do a Tamil anthology, and there was no way we would have been able to pull that off. But with Pava Kadigal and Pitta Katalu, Netflix again gave us that home, which where the filmmakers down south, and we have some incredible filmmakers both in Tamil and Telugu, the way they got to tell their stories, for them also it was really refreshing because they are so used to the whole theatrical, and it was incredible. And I always like to have a woman's perspective. So in every film that I've made, there's always been a woman director. Most of the leads or protagonists, the story is always from a point of view of women. And we've never even really looked at it like that. It's just organically happened in that way. So yeah, it's been incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're right. And just talking about the issue of looks, to gray hair, now people are calling them wisdom highlights. The wrinkles are also given a better name. So we are actually transcending these barriers of age, and I have no idea why do. जब हम छोटे थे तो हम बड़े होने का इंतजार करते थे और जब हम बड़े हो जाते हैं तो हम छोटे होना चाहते हैं. What
That's true.
kind of a strange misconception is that in our minds? But I'm just assuming, Ms. Dua, if you can make such a beautiful film at 24, what would you do at 54? I'm just imagining and researching that future of yours. Amazing. Thank you so much, ladies, colorful women, bright women, for doing what you're doing. And please keep doing this and inspiring others too. You make our lives beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.